Listen,
my god.
you know what? You know what killed Harry Potter for me? You know what killed Harry Potter for me? Canonically?
Voldemort.
That.
You walked into that.
Also,
I'm sorry.
And also Avada Kedavra, because it fucking ruins the whole series from a plot hole standpoint.
The spell?
The fact that they kill each other, or like.
Well, yeah, the whole time, people have just known that there's a spell that exists that, hey, I can kill you. You're dead. Guys.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to use it.
Yeah, well, there's that. But also, I can think of a lot of stories. I didn't watch Fast and the Furious, and then the moment someone introduced a gun, I was like, well, why the fuck are they driving when you could just kill everyone with a gun?
Okay, but if you're joining us just now in the midst of some Harry Potter discourse, we're going to actually be talking about real witches today, because that's part of the things that we're about here on Everything in Potteration, because the internet can be too much, and this is a good example of the internet being the internet and being way too much.
Question: do these witches get snitches and or stitches?
Prison sentences, actually.
Yeah, hold on. I'd like to... Colin, what world do you live in where if people tattle, they get more snitches to come to them? Not stitches, but more snitches.
I thought we were talking about the golden snitch.
Yeah, it was kind of a play on the whole Harry Potter thing, but
I don't remember. That's how little I remember of Harry Potter. And I'm gonna be honest.
He's done it. He's called the golden snitch.
Okay, so I know the sport is played on brooms, but my brain is saying the name of it is quesadilla, and I know that's not right.
Wait, what? Quesadilla? Robert, are you hungry? Have you eaten dinner?
I just ate. I just know it started with a Q, and my brain's quesadilla.
They take the burrito and they toss it through the quesadilla.
And that's how you play Quidditch.
Quidditch. That's it. Thank you.
Quidditch. Quidditch and some other fun made up words.
Yeah. Have we introduced ourselves yet?
We haven't. Yeah, I'm Daly, and I'm clearly the most educated when it comes to the Harry Potter canon here.
Hi, I'm Colin, and my Tumblr is sittingindarkness.tumblr.com.
And I'm Robert. I'm a professional quesadilla player. I've been playing since I was 10 years old. Hashtag go pinto beans.
Fuck you, black beans roll. Black beans roll. Black beans roll.
No, yeah, black beans are the better bean. I just thought pinto sounded funnier. I don't know. So, Daly, what are we doing? What hellscape have you brought upon us this week?
Okay, well, I gotta establish a couple things here first. So, y'all know about Tumblr. Clearly, Colin knows about Tumblr. Can you elucidate on your experience with Tumblr?
So, at least from my perspective and what my friends have told me, Tumblr, it was a website where was a website emphasis on was where you would go to post your stuff that you didn't want people to see on your Twitter, that you didn't want them to see on your Facebook, didn't want them to see on, I don't think, was Tumblr around during MySpace when that was the thing? I don't remember.
I would not know.
Yeah. I was pretty late to the MySpace game. Anyways, point being, this is where you post your thoughts or your deepest, darkest secret. You only let certain people follow you on Tumblr. And there's a lot of aesthetic posts, a lot of pornography, mainly pornography, GIFs and whatnot, and a lot of landscape posts. And that's kind of a lot of Tumblr. Oh, and a lot of screen caps from movies that are really emo and overly dramatic.
Edgy.
Fair assessment. Robert,
yeah.
Have you ever been on the Tumblr?
I haven't tumbled before, but I'm familiar with what Tumblr is. Funny enough, I actually know it more as a porn site before I knew it as it's this thing that edgy teenagers also use to express their edginess. Because in Korea, where I grew up, porn sites are illegal. You can't go to Pornhub. You can't go to I can't name any other ones. But but
He's
you
a
can
purist.
loophole. You can go to Tumblr because Tumblr isn't a porn site. It's where you post anything.
It's blogging.
Yeah,
Really? This is dude, you poor people out there.
you porn people out there.
You poor,
Yeah.
pornless people. But yeah, I can see where Tumblr could fill that void. Innuendo intended. Because previous to the famous Tumblr purge, Tumblr was home to a lot of, and is still home, I should really say, a lot of questionable things, and a lot of very fringe communities. One of which is the pun intended witch community, which brings me to my next very important question: what is your experience with modern witchcraft, if any?
Usually when I think of like modern witchcraft, my head instantly goes to the Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, or like the movie The Witch. I guess I don't know. I never like grew up those like any of those weird kids in school or whatever, that like we didn't have any of those weird kids that were like, yeah, I'm actually a Wiccan, or like, you know, people would talk about like doing witchcraft or any of that. Just didn't have any of those people.
I did. Hello. Hi.
Hello. Tell
Yeah,
us.
I did. I had some friends who were into paganism and witchcraft. Like we would celebrate Festivus instead of Christmas or whatever. Which, I mean, it was cool. And it didn't feel very like, you know, it wasn't like Harry Potter. No one was trying to cast a spell on anyone or anything like that. It was just like less religious and in a very, you know, typical Judeo-Christian sense.
So this brings me to my next very important question for establishing what we all know here. What do you all know about witchcraft in the modern sense?
Well, when I think witches and wizards and whatnot, I mean, Harry Potter's obviously a go-to, but then when I think of like the darker part of like witches and stuff, I think Blair Witch Project, because that was like, you know, a very scary portrayal of witches, and the whole like dude standing in the corner at the last shot of the movie, and just real spoopy.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, it's been out for like 21 years, guys. Come on.
Still a spoiler.
Spoilers.
Man. Can't spoil
Yeah.
things.
I guess not. It's illegal to spoil things. Yeah, there was definitely something else, but I completely forgot what it was. But yeah, that's mostly it.
For me, when I think of witchcraft, I think of something toil and trouble. Does a double bubble toil and trouble with the witches stirring the
Macbeth.
cauldron? Yeah.
That's some classic Shakespeare there.
Yeah, I think of that, and then I think, I wonder what like a stew made by a witch would taste like, because like that's a big cauldron.
Oh, and how could I forget? I also think of the Disney Channel original movie Halloween Town.
So Daly, why don't you tell
yes.
us more about this thing you're going to get us into?
Okay, so it's less Macbeth and more Halloween Town in a way. Actually, there is a considerable community of people that identify as witches and practice witchcraft in the modern day. They could be your classmates. They could be your coworkers. Witches are out there doing witchy things. There was definitely a lot of people I knew in like high school that had like the Wiccan phase. Like everyone would go to fucking Books A Million and get like the Wiccan Book of Shadows handbook thing, and have that for like a couple months and be like, oh yeah, I'm a witch, like a real witch. Mm-hmm. But then there's like people that do genuinely take it seriously and use it as a way to connect better with their spirituality, which I'm totally fine with. We're not here to shame those people, except for maybe one of those people.
We don't witch shame.
We don't witch shame. Yeah. No witch shaming. I think I don't think there's any problem with that.
People or something. I don't know.
All right, so this is what brings us to the subject of this podcast. The 2015 Tumblr bone theft. So, okay, wait. Quick question: Do y'all want to be cremated or buried when you die?
Buried.
Buried. I am from Indiana. I am sorry.
You know, I don't know if I've ever really thought about it. It's like one of those things where it's like, I'm fucking dead anyway, dude. I don't I don't really care, I guess.
Mm.
Like, what, like, I could be like, I could tell people all my life, be like, hey, motherfuckers, I like, you better cremate me. And then they're gonna like, nah, dude, we got you. We buried you alive.
Yeah,
or
like, what are you gonna say? Like,
Yeah,
bruh,
like, bro, like, I'm gonna be in the coffin dead. I'd be like, bro, what the fuck?
I so very much adore that your brain goes to like, my friends are just gonna prank me when I die. Like, when I tell them I want one thing, they're gonna be like, nah, bro, we're gonna do it another way. Fuck it.
Dude, no, it's gonna be like Family Guy, like Mayor Adam West style, or like, yeah, and Mayor West has decreed that all bodies must be buried with at least 6 feet of concrete above them, so that it can't come back as zombies.
Woof.
Yeah,
That would have been the preferable situation for this particular one. But Robert, how do you feel about when you're dead? Question mark.
I don't know. I mean, because both ways would be fine. I mean, if I get buried, I can do the whole like, ooh, like my bones are spooky and is cursed that whatever house is going to be built on my grave. But if I do cremate, I could be a spice in a dish.
I like your thinking about what is your second life, your afterlife going to be like? Are you going to be spooky legend or strange taste in someone's curry?
Spooky stew.
Spooky
As I like
stew.
to call it.
Oh, okay, I see.
I will say though, if you do just get plain buried in a coffin somewhere, there's a lot less utility in that. There's not much use there. You're just kind of there rotting. Whereas I'm just saying, if you get cremated, somebody has your ashes. I mean, they could bake you into a cookie. They could use you as a spice, like Robert said, or they could smoke you.
Mhm.
Oh shit. That's happened, I'm sure. I will say without Googling, because this is the world we live in.
Seems like that.
Oh, bless.
Hey, hold on. Is this cannibalism?
Is it?
Would it be cannibalism?
Is that cannibalism?
Is it cannibalism?
Wait, wasn't it Grandma's Boy where they smoked somebody's ashes? I don't remember.
I don't know.
But what if you could become part of a spell that
like
a young witch is casting
Mm-hmm.
on
what do you mean? Like
their enemies?
Like taking part in casting, or like being
your
casted upon?
your remains. Yeah, like they find some of your bones and they're like, cool, I'm gonna use this.
Yeah, you got me on the hook. Reel me in. Give me the sales pitch.
Yeah, they're rolling the bones.
That's, I don't know the nature of the spell, but they were doing this. So to get into the meat of it, let's set the scene. So December 2015, what a year. 2015, stuff happened. Not nearly as much stuff as this year, but stuff certainly happened. And we're zooming in on the screen of a young witch on the Queer Witch Collective on Facebook, which, unsurprisingly, after all this hullabaloo, no longer exists. So
why?
We're gonna find out.
Oh boy.
I think I'm just gonna read this post in its entirety, just to so that we're not making up anything, we're not exaggerating. This is the reality of the situation. So, content warning: graves, bone hunting. Comment if there are added warnings needed. ... to make spaces.
This is sounding like a creepypasta already.
Oh, I should read it like a creepypasta. About 20 minutes from my house in New Orleans is what we call the poor man's graveyard. Most graveyards around here are full of above ground graves because we live in a fishbowl. But there happens to be a graveyard where it's all in-ground graves for those of us who are too poor to afford an above-ground burial. When it rains, of course, bones wash up. The older the grave, the more you find. You can literally walk around and see femurs, teeth, jaws, skull caps, etc., etc. This is where I go to find my human bones for curse work and general spells that require bone. I find human bones are easier to work for with me rather than animal bone. I can relate and work with the energy they carry, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I wanted to see if I started selling, in quotes, basically cover shipping to wherever you happen to be, if people would be interested. I know human bones aren't easy to come by, and I usually have leftovers. I only go once a month or when it rains here.
Why?
Okay.
first of all, when you started reading this, it started off as creepypasta, but then you kept reading, and then it started to sound like a fucking Reddit subreddit enthusiast post that was just like, when I do my curses, enchanting, whatever you said it was, I prefer to use human bones over like animal bones because they just kind of it makes it a little bit more saucy, but then you continue to read some more, and eventually it starts sounding like a Facebook Marketplace post.
It kind of is.
Which it is, though.
I mean, it sort of is. Yeah.
And I love that this is probably the most textbook definition of the road to hell is paved in good intentions. Because, like, the core of this is, hey, I have an abundance. I have a surplus of X good. Would you like some? I'm willing to ship some of it to you. But then you realize those goods are human remains, and it's like, not great.
Yeah. So anyways, does anyone know how much a femur weighs? Because I really need to calculate shipping on that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do international.
17.6 pounds on average.
Did you just Google
We're
that?
not going to ask
Nope,
why
that's
Robert knows
I know
this.
that. Yep.
It's because he's in the bone trade.
Well, I was in the queer witch. I used to be.
Oh, so this is about you, actually.
Yeah, I made that post. Actually.
You are Ender Darling.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what made these bones? You don't want to know what made these bones.
Gosh. So yeah, Ender Darling posted this.
Mhm.
Just put it out there for everyone to see.
So my next question is, why were there just loose like, were these bodies not in coffins? Like, I'm really confused as to how this has this been confirmed as real?
This is where the plot thickens. So, obviously, there was some mixed reactions, surprisingly mixed reactions to this post. A lot of people genuinely said, "Oh, I'm absolutely interested." Like,
these are comments
I'm
on that same post.
Yeah. Like, you can see, like, I'm interested. Just be careful with state and federal laws. Like, oh yeah, I'm deaf interested. Like, just be careful.
The fucking casualness of this.
I love that in other marketplaces where it's like, hey, I want to sell my guitar. The first response usually, yeah, send it my way. Just be careful about federal and state laws, just in case.
Yeah,
this is literally like black market dark web shit on Facebook.
So technically, in Louisiana, it was at the time legal to sell human remains.
Oh, this was in Louisiana?
This was in Louisiana. This is why and the setting is very important to the ethical qualms. Conundrum.
You had to find the right word for that one.
Quandary?
Yeah, that was quandary. The just the shitty situation that this wound up being and
quan.
is. Hit the quan. But so after people expressed their interest, more people were like, "Hey, when you say, so you're in New Orleans and you're saying that this is like a poor man's graveyard."
Excuse me, Daly. It's Nolans. Thank you very much.
Nolans. You're in Nolans and it's a poor man's graveyard. People started putting two and two together and were like, okay, so this is what you're saying is that you're stealing bones from a historically black cemetery that disenfranchised people were buried in and maybe weren't able to afford coffins or other measures that would keep their bones from washing up when it rains.
So wait, you're telling me, so they figured out exactly where the cemetery was that she was pulling bones allegedly from?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was Holt Cemetery in New Orleans, however you want to say it. I don't shame, but the shaming part is what became the center of the discourse on the bones. Was we don't shame people, don't shame people for their witchcraft practices, is what the mods essentially decided on the matter at first.
So we're okay with stealing human remains.
We're okay with it because
okay.
Don't shame people. Don't shame people. So
Okay.
this has been covered by mainstream media at this point. It got so big, and this is, I'm going to refer to this as Boneghazi from here on out, because that
Gotcha.
is the wonderful, wonderful way that it has been termed in the years since. But I mean, people were like, let the bones rest in peace, ? And then Ahmad was like, I'm really sad that someone is acting like this is grave desecration when it's literally taking what the earth washes up so they don't go into waste treatment ?
Okay. All right. So I'm the one of the biggest proponents of no kink shaming. You know, I'm a big fan of everyone
Yeah.
Is
who
this a
they want to
kink?
be and how they want to be. You know, for some people it might be a kink, right? It might give them
I mean,
a
are we
bone.
talking about fucking these bones? Like,
Are we
Well,
boning the bones?
it might give them a boner.
Daily, I'm really disappointed I didn't think of that one.
The center of no kink shaming is assuming there's consent. And I hate that I have to like say that, because that should just be implied. I feel like in this case, there was little to no consent, perhaps, about the
Listen,
bones.
I don't
being
think
used.
Smitty Warben Jaegerman Jensen's fucking bones washing down the hill there is consent for you to like steal his femur and use it as a sex toy.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Well, Daly, you tell me. Do they use these as sex toys? I don't want to put my bone in my mouth, but
I'm just gonna mull that one over. But there's definitely an issue of consent here, regardless of what they're being used for. But what Ender Darling, who also at the time went by Little Fucking Monster on Tumblr, if that tells you
Appropriate.
anything, they said that they would keep them at their altar and do curse work. I don't know what curse work means exactly, because that's the thing, is that I can see partially where the mods were coming from, because witchcraft as it is like very diverse and ill-defined, so you don't know exactly what people are up to. There's not like a code for each and every one, and they were kind of approaching this from like, oh, you know, don't shame people, because that could come off as like racist, because sometimes curse work and using human remains or animal remains is associated with the African diaspora of pagan religions, and they didn't want to come off as being racist and shaming this person for using human bones that they found after a rainstorm in the poor man's graveyard.
So they were trying to be overly politically correct to a fault, is what it sounds like. Allegedly, kind of. So then was this like, did this person actually make like post pictures of having these bones? Like, did she give any evidence that she had them to actually then go on to sell them? Was she selling them or just giving them away?
They were saying like, if you cover shipping, I'll send them to you.
Okay. And then, so I guess you haven't told us yet if it actually was happening.
Hello.
Okay.
Apparently, they never got the chance to traffic their bones because it hit Tumblr. And Tumblr in 2015, I believe that this was post Onceler fandom, which, if y'all don't know what that is, bless you. Keep
thank
pure.
you.
Stay pure.
Actually, so.
Don't Google it. Don't look into it. But Tumblr was thirsty for a good meme. And Pastel Provert, I can't do French, provided it in making a PSA, like a genuine good faith PSA on Tumblr, saying, PSA, Tumblr user Little Fucking Monster is stealing human bones from cemeteries in Louisiana. Please don't let them get away with this, and spread the word / signal boost.
Which is in turn kind of signal boosting.
Yes.
Okay.
So the message was out there, and it actually was kind of appropriate for them to post this on Tumblr, because there is like a community that, like, there's amateur taxidermists, there's people that are just in it for the aesthetic, and there is actually a very big witchcraft community on Tumblr who might be unethically sourcing their human remains or in danger of doing so.
Well, and there's a big middle school science teacher community that needs to construct the skeleton that they use in their classroom, but they have to like buy each of the bones from these Tumblr.
That's how you do it. Yeah. Just piece by piece.
Right. They don't give you the plastic skeletons anymore.
Damn it. I'm only 3 pieces away from a complete set.
Yeah.
I can't source it from Little Fucking Monster, though, because that would be totally unwoke of me.
Mm-hmm. This is why we got to fund our schools, people. More funding.
Yeah, for real. But this is how we got like wonderful memes like you wouldn't steal a cemetery. But
you wouldn't download a cemetery.
But they did. And so that kind of from there things went pretty viral as far as Tumblr standards go. There was a lot of jokes. One of my favorites was like PSA, Dr. Victor Frankenstein is sourcing parts for his experiment from local cemeteries. Be warned, like stuff like that.
Jesus.
It's one of those things that it's just so absurd that you have to believe it's real. And then you get proof because the police got involved.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Right. And what did they say?
The police
the NOPD
observed Ender Darling's house for several days before raiding it. Like the word raid was used. They raided the house and they obtained 11 bones and 4 teeth. Which Darling gave over and said, there's probably human bones in there, but I know better than to give you that answer.
Okay.
If like
there's probably human bones in there, but I know better than to give you that answer.
That's like even worse than pleading the fifth.
Yeah, I can't exactly defend their reaction to this whole thing because it essentially comes down to, and they posted a huge Tumblr post after the PSA started to go viral. And it was essentially like, I'm not digging them up. I'm just picking them off the ground before they go into a drain or something. And, you know, magic is not shiny. It's not, you know, all puppies and rainbows. It's dark. It's bloody. And y'all aren't edgy enough. I work with death. Quote, I am not Wiccan. I am not fluffy. I work with death and bones, curses and hexes, the dark and the things not for the faint of heart. And you ain't about to shame me for it.
You know, if there's anything that living on the internet for the past 2 decades has taught me, is that whenever you run into someone who says you need to be darker and edgier to get on my level, they're probably like kind of a wuss.
I mean, they face down the police pretty no.
I would
They
venture to guess
sassed the
also that
police.
these posts that you have been regaling us with are also probably not written very well, i.e. like spelling and grammar, but it's just a guess.
There's a lot of all caps moments. What has followed has been extremely racist, especially towards those who still practice indigenous is not spelled correctly, indigenous craft. Physical harm has been threatened, including towards my child. Y'all fuckers can cool it on that front before you really start saying shit you can't back up, because I swear if any of you actually have the guts to try something, my automatic response when it comes to my child is to put your teeth in my altar. Try me.
Wow, that is spicier than putting fucking bone ashes on your jalapenos.
All right, well, so I'd like to inject a little bit of ethical debate here. So, stealing teeth from graveyard, not great, not hot, not sexy. Getting into consensual duels with people and knocking their teeth out and then using their teeth, is that ethical? Discuss.
I mean,
Do you know
no?
going into
Probably
the
not.
battle that if you get a tooth knocked out, that it's going to then default belong to the person who knocked it out? Is that the way
You
it
know-
works? Is that the way fighting works? I've never been in a fight.
Yeah,
this
Street
sounds
Fighter
like-
Academy.
This sounds like, have you ever gone down like a list of like super weird state laws that exist for some reason, and just like seen like just really strange ones? Like in the state of, I don't know, maybe Arkansas, it's like illegal to fuck a pig or something like that. They just had that in there. It's like, what the fuck happened that they had to make a law like
Pig
this?
fucking happened, Colin.
Yeah, I mean, pig fucking happened.
Hey, Arkansas, sorry to put that bad juju on you.
I have no idea if that's true. So I just great assault. Just don't, I was either that or Alabama. I'm sorry, but Alabama's just kind of the
no hot takes
Sorry.
here. I'm so sorry.
I just out roll tide. But it would be one of those things where I feel like maybe in some place like Louisiana they would have a law like if you get your teeth knocked out in a duel, whoever did the knocking out of the teeth gets to keep them.
Trophy, some would say.
Yeah, put them on a necklace.
Teeth trophy, which is like human remains as fashion is apparently a thing that's become increasingly popular. Kesha has some human teeth necklaces or jewelry. I don't know if it was necklace or jewelry, but it's a thing.
That's hot.
But okay, but we still don't know though, like at the cemetery, why these bones were allegedly washing up and why they weren't in any sort of container, like no coffins, or were they buried without coffins?
Yeah,
it's an excellent question. As the context that Ender little fucking monster darling has given us is that the ground just becomes so saturated that they wash up, and they didn't want them to go to waste.
The more likely thing sounds to me that like there was a fucking murder nearby and it's just a corpse that rotted, and high rainwater because Louisiana, especially New Orleans, is so low below sea level that they probably get a lot of flooding. Mm-hmm. And so that shit probably just floated on near where she lives. If that's my best guess. That's my Ripley's Believe It or Not.
So what I need to know is, what do the police do after the raid? Like, what happens after you raid a home full of bones?
The police, they tested the bones, and yes, some of them were indeed human. And then Darling was arrested. And during that arrest, they admitted that yes, they had taken bones from other cemeteries in other states, including Maryland, which is where I was totally willing to believe the idea that, you know, it's Louisiana. Most graveyards, you're buried in a mausoleum or a sepulcher because of the nature of the saturation of the ground there. And so only those who are unable to afford that are actually buried in the ground. So I was willing to believe that there were actually bones just washing up out of the earth. But I don't know if that happens everywhere in Maryland. For example, in Maryland, yeah. So that's when I started becoming pretty suspect of why are you getting so many human bones?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so she was going to these places. I don't know if she was driving, but she allegedly maybe got on a plane with bones in her suitcase in a post 9/11 world.
I mean, they're not bombs, to be fair.
No, they're bones.
I mean,
bones, not bombs.
Dude,
it's my new peace rally chant.
You're working as like a TSA officer, and you just see on the monitor for the X-ray scanner just some human bones, maybe a skull, some teeth, and suitcase.
Yeah, and then the explanation, oh, I'm a middle school science teacher. I'm just, you know. Yeah.
But wasn't this girl like young or no?
This person is 24 years old of the time of Boneghazi. And
it's such a spicy ass name.
But and so yes, they were arrested. They continued saying, like, I wasn't digging up anything. It was just what the earth gave. I have a deal with my god, like, quote, actually, I have a deal with my goddess. I provide some offerings and she gives me what is there in the earth already.
You know, that sounds so close to like, I didn't get high. I just put the weed in my system and it gave me the high.
Yeah,
the
man.
weed. It's the weed's fault.
It's funny you
Mother
say
Earth.
weed.
Oh boy, let's
Because-
go. Come on, let's
All
dive
right.
in.
Oh, God.
So-
wait, weed possession too?
So, Ender Darling was convicted for burglary and marijuana possession and was given a 5-year sentence.
Wait, so she's out now? Is she out now?
They're out now. They're out and about.
Protect your
world.
bones, people.
Protect your bones. Oh my god. There were so many posts too that were like, oh god, I just want to die. And it's like, wait, no, I can't. My bones might get stolen.
Oh fuck. Yeah, or you just wake up one morning and your arm looks like Harry Potter's in the movie where he tries to cast a fucking spell on his arm and he just removes the bones from it by accident, so it's just floppy.
It's just jelly.
You got
Just
bone
rubber.
napped. Instead of waking up in, the seedy hotel bathtub with ice, it's the same except no bones. Instead of no kidney, no bones.
It's just kind of
You're
like you're a slug now.
You're tapping on your phone to try and call 911 without your bones.
My bones. They're stolen.
Your fingers are just pancaking on the screen.
Oh,
But,
man.
Why it's so funny to me.
But as far as we know, this person fled to Florida because of all the hate messages that they were getting on Tumblr and some death threats, which I don't think death threats are cool,
Florida?
Never,
in any
never cool.
situation. We've talked about that before. I think it's fine to be just like, why? Why have you done this? And maybe ask for some answers, but death threats aren't cool.
No.
So go ahead.
what's unsettling about that is, first of all, I moved to Florida. I mean, just add another Florida woman or Florida man to the list. Et cetera.
Well, it's illegal in Florida, probably. Sorry, Florida.
Sorry, Florida, but it's probably true.
But the unsettling thing about that is, it's pretty well known that Florida is a pretty big hotspot for older people to retire to.
Oh no!
Right?
Mhm.
You see where I'm going with this?
Are you saying
Yeah,
that this
people
person
die
is
in
like
Florida.
Yeah.
stalking their elderly neighbors
So
and being measuring
this-
their femurs?
I'm just saying you're getting a surplus of elderly people, which probably correlates with the surplus in elderly people dying. So therefore, it's a lot more bones.
The new hunting ground is in Florida. The new bone hunting ground. But actually, this did have some good repercussions legally, in the sense that Louisiana was like, oh, maybe we really need to make the trade and possession of human remains illegal. And so they did. Because of this witchcraft incident, they wrote up a bill that would better define the punishments for violating this bill and
So
trading in human remains.
wait, what was her Tumblr name again?
First it was Little Fucking Monster, and then after getting a bunch of hate was Little Fucking Heathen.
So I really hope that the court case went down in history as Louisiana versus Little Fucking Monster.
Oh my god,
Little
can you
Fucking
imagine?
Heathen, where they established the law because of it, kind of like Roe v. Wade, but
I mean, they would, but then I think Monster Energy Drink would sue the court because people would be confuse little fucking Monster with their energy drink name.
God, can you imagine if that would just went on? It would have made legal studies a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Just to be clear, Monster actually did do that with a video game. That's where the joke came from.
Oh no,
It's that's a real fucking thing. Good old Monster.
Good old Monster, I guess. What is Monster's flavor, by the way?
Shit.
battery acid.
Okay, as long as
So
we're all in
not
agreement
great.
on that.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that this person never really gave themselves a chance to holistically defend what they were doing because of how 3edgy5me they were. Here was their Tumblr profile at the time. I'm Ender, which is a cool name. I will say that.
Ender's Game or
Yeah.
Enderman.
Yeah, he has a cool game from what I hear.
Yeah, that one. I'm Ender, 24, queer, trans, non-binary, primal witchy creature, little fucking monster, angry floofball. I have a fond love of bondage, rope, other queer cuties, kitties, puppies, leather, boots, brandings, cuttings, bruises, baseball bats, and my teddy bear, Izzy Darling. Not safe for work. If you aren't 18 plus, you probably shouldn't follow my blog. Trigger warning: blood, sex, gore, extreme body modifications, BDSM, bruises. Probably more, but this is off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I feel bad for misgendering them at least, but they also steal bones, so...
They also steal bones. Most of the news coverage also misgendered them. But that honestly, the gendering part is at the core of this. Because kind of like my thesis for this is, why was this not a cut and dry case of bone taking bad? And I think it is because of identity politics and people being worried about stepping on other people's identities and feelings.
Stepping on their bones.
Stepping on their bones and breaking their bones and then taking them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. That's really weird, man. It's a really weird thing. It's like when political correctness goes too far or something like that. I don't even, you know what I mean?
You know what it reminds me a lot of, that's very timely for us right now in this temporal space where we're recording, but not at all when we release this episode. So this is going to be old news. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's extremely relevant. About like a couple weeks ago. It's a lot like the Cuties movie.
Oh man.
Where identity politics
movie
is kind of there too, right? Where it's people defending it. And a lot of the people who are defending it also say, I haven't seen the movie, but, which is like, okay.
No, it's like, guys, it's not that bad. Just settle, like, the Netflix fucked up the marketing, but now it's like, oh God, like, have you seen the movie?
Right, but I mean, to tie it back to this whole bone theft thing, it's the idea that...
What a sentence.
I know, we need to tie the child pedophilia back to the bone thing.
Yes.
Holy fuck.
It's like overlooking the things that are bad for the sake of allowing others to do, like, to quote unquote be themselves, right? In the case of Cuties, like, I agree, sure, I think it's great to, like, put a spotlight on, like, hey, you know, sexualizing children is bad, and here's a movie that is portraying that message. That's great. But that doesn't condone sexualizing children with the male gaze behind the camera.
Which is absolutely what the film does, yeah.
Right, and I know the director is a woman, so to use male gaze is a little bit iffy, but it's like, it fits that pretty well from the shots I've seen of how much it lingers on 11-year-old ass.
And to be fair, director and director of photography are two different things.
Fair point. But to bring it back to this, it's like, we're willing to overlook, oh, you are stealing people's remains, but you want to be a witch and you want to practice witchcraft, so we'll allow it. You know, it's like we're going to overlook this bad thing so you can, quote, be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. There was at the time, I really liked this post by Viking Space Bees, which is just a cool handle, much better than Little Fucking Monster. They said, we have reached peak Tumblr. A call-out post was made for someone literally stealing human bones and offering to sell them, with attached commentary about racism and classism. Your fave is problematic-esque discussion made in lieu of contacting the authorities. The post offering the bones had content warnings at the top. It is the end of 2015 and Tumblr has become what it was always destined to be.
Garbage,
yeah. Because Tumblr is definitely the kind of place where... I don't want to say, I do not want to use the phrase too accepting, but it's a space where you can run into people that in their bio it says, I am a minor attracted person. And
interesting.
That's not a wild thing to spot, because there is a community. Like, there are all sorts of communities on Tumblr, whether that's people wanting to ethically practice witchcraft or people that are genuine pedophiles.
Oh, yeah, I thought you meant like coal miner.
Oh, no.
That's like
man,
saying...
when they're digging for that ore,
gets me going.
Gets me going.
God, that's like saying that like, oh, it's okay for me to like fuck around with human bones because I'm a witch. It's like the equivalent of saying like, guys, like, listen, I like underage people, but I'm not a pedophile. I'm an ephebiophile, which is basically just it's still being attracted to minors. It's just it's a
Wait,
fucking.
Can you please spell and define that and use it in a sentence?
Ephebiophile. Let me. I want to get this correct.
Because I have seen map a lot, like minor attracted person. I have not heard a phebiophile.
So it's spelled EPHE.
I was kidding.
O-P-H-I-L-E.
This is real now, Robert. We gotta cite ourselves.
An adult who is sexually attracted to adolescents. So it's like, okay, it's still bad.
It's a step above pedo, but still not. Like, it's still not adult, not legally consenting adult.
No, like you're like.
It's that like 25-year-old dating a 16-year-old girl kind of situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I fucked up the proper noun there.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm all for letting people live their truth. I think that's great, and that's like when we couldn't reach a world where anyone can do that and be themselves, we'd be in a great world. However, there's some people who think being themselves condones some really fucked up shit, you know?
Yep.
I think a really great video that illustrates it, there's this person on YouTube, Julie Nolke, where she does a YouTube video about like people who are gathered and just like living their truth, and they keep revealing shittier things about themselves until one of them is like, oh, I killed my roommate, and everyone's like, yeah, live your truth.
Live your truth.
And it's like, hold on. Murder bad. When has murder not been bad?
Yeah, so basically the queer witch collective was like, live your truth. Live your truth. With this whole bone theft situation before people with more clear heads stepped in. There was, I mean, not to say the fact that there was discourse, that there was back and forth is like super shitty, but there were clearer heads in the original situation. Like someone had said, I joined this group about 3 weeks ago, and about 10 seconds into that tenure, I see a post about someone collecting potentially black human bones. You are implementing white supremacist and colonistic tactics to do your bidding. Like, y'all are actually stealing bones.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think encapsulates the situation. Like, y'all are actually stealing bones.
I don't know. I think it opens a pretty fair discussion into a lot of like, I guess, philosophical discussion of what is morally good, what is morally bad, right? I mean, I think that's something that humans have been trying to figure out since the days of like Aristotle, right?
Yeah.
Like what is good and what is bad, that is something that we put to law. And even then, the law isn't always right. Look at Black Lives Matter, for example, kind of pointing out, hey, there are some things in the law that really suck. But that's like the closest thing we have to like a centered, like universally agreed, this is wrong and right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is getting to the point where it's like, well, I wasn't taught a law in high school about stealing bones bad, so it must be right.
Yeah. So we live in this age now where it seems like every sort of moral line is trying to be blurred, and if it hasn't been blurred yet, someone's at least attempting to blur it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, next thing you know, you have people being like, oh, you know, like I was really into sacrificing goats because like I'm a Wiccan or a pagan or whatever, or a Satanist for that matter. But like, you know, I moved on to humans because that was like, you know, it just makes for a spicier ritual.
Live your truth.
Live your truth, man.
Yeah. And for the record, the Church of Satan on Twitter, pretty fucking great. They seem like a bunch of nice people.
I mean, Church of Satan, period. Not bad.
Nice people.
Not bad people. Yeah.
Cool peeps.
Like real talk, before you call me a Satanist, just look up their commandments. Just do it. Like, just trust me on this.
Yeah. If you want a summary of the Church of Satan, it's like, hail the Dark Lord. Also, guys, don't forget to bring the casserole for Thursday's potluck. Jim, make sure you bring the cornbread.
Jan, we need that cornbread.
Yeah, how can you hate cornbread, folks?
You can't. You can't.
Can't hate cornbread. Unless you're gluten-free, which I get that.
I'd like to...
Wait, cornbread's okay for gluten-free.
Is cornbread okay?
I think.
Anyway. Cornbread's delicious.
Don't.
Sorry if you can't enjoy it.
Don't bring your bland-ass potato salad again, Karen. We don't need any of that shit.
Stop, Karen.
All right. Daly, you had a point.
I wish I could, I guess, wrap this up by saying that, you know, Tumblr had a moment to morally consider its stances on bones and bone theft, but also on excusing things because of the worry of not seeming like woke enough, or like worried about, you know, calling someone out who happens to be part of a minority group, which is understandable to want to protect and understand, but not when it comes to stealing bones. So I'd like to say that we all learned a lesson here, but we didn't.
We can steal bones.
We didn't.
Oh,
we're still doing stuff with bones.
We hope that someone listens to this and they're like, wait.
As far as we know, Ender
what-
Darling isn't doing anything with bones. But
What have I been doing wrong this entire time? Someone just has a revelation.
Oh no!
Listen to us talk about this.
In more recent years, there was also a call out post that went viral on Tumblr because someone who's into the vulture culture, which is like the taxidermy, the bone aesthetic, etc., managed to ethically, from a garage sale, which who knows there, but ethically managed to obtain the entire articulated skeleton of a 6-year-old child.
Well,
and they like to like make little poses with them and like kiss the skull and stuff and post that on Tumblr because aesthetic.
Damn. I feel like with social media, like it's really starting to blur the line between like what's okay on the normal internet and what's okay in the dark web, because this feels almost dark web to me. Some of this.
You know, I'm conflicted because in one aspect there was consent. Like there was an exchange of legal tender, which means consent usually. Like they assumed they bought the skeleton.
We don't know how this other person had the skeleton, but they had it and they were willing to sell it and they did.
Yeah, but then it also brings up like then there's the question of what do you do with the skeleton that's okay? I would argue there are very few things you could do with a skeleton that are okay. One of which maybe being a middle school teacher. But I feel like posting pictures on the internet of you kissing and caressing is this pedo? I want to fuck dead pedo.
Pedonecrophilia?
Pedcrophilia?
But I mean, it's okay though, guys. It still wouldn't be taken down by YouTube. You know, wouldn't be picked up by the community.
Oh, that should be our like moral line, like whether or not YouTube will take it down.
Yeah. You know,
I mean, go ahead, Robert.
I kind of want to point out that like, Daly, do you know the timeline of how soon it was that this post started going viral on the internet, and then when Louisiana made the law? Like, what's the timeline there?
It's fairly quick actually. So it was December of 2015 that everything was happening, and then the article about the new consideration of the laws that were being passed was April 6th, 2016. So it was a pretty quick turnaround.
So that's like 5 months.
Yeah.
So these BLM protests have been going on for like literally over a year.
Yep.
And there's been no legal action.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, I get that like police brutality and racial injustice is a little bit more of a complex topic to juggle than stealing bones bad.
Yep.
But come on. Why can't everyone be Louisiana lawmakers? I probably shouldn't say that. I don't know anything about Louisiana lawmakers. But
I was like blanket statement there, bub.
but I mean, come on. At least they're efficient.
That's one way to put it.
They were worried about becoming part of someone's spell. They're like, I gotta protect my remains.
It was the witchcraft that made them fast.
Maybe that's how we need to start approaching things. Just add an occult twist, and then that will make. Because what is the Parks and Rec quote? It's like, if there's one thing white people fear, it's like a curse. Mm-hmm. That's what we gotta start doing. Be like, you will be cursed.
This sarcophagus is cursed. I watched The Mummy recently. Sorry.
Proud of you.
Love The Mummy. Never apologize for watching The Mummy.
Quick anecdote. I actually do remember, in terms of weird fucking internet shit, and maybe this is like I feel like we should do an episode about the dark web at some point, because I feel like that could be really interesting.
It's
But one
scary.
story I do know about when it comes to like crazy shit that's actually consensual was there was a story that came out of Germany where a dude had posted on the dark web. Daily might already know what I'm talking about.
I know this.
Yes. Where he consensually became basically a piece of meat for a cannibal.
Okay.
Yeah. So his kink basically, like, all he wanted was to be essentially eaten alive.
Vor. It's vor.
It's real life vor.
Yeah. So this guy like took him, like willingly sold himself to this guy, and he was like chained up in this dude's bathroom, and the guy was just slowly taking chunks of meat off this guy. Yep. That was the thing that was happening.
There's consent. I guess.
Consent.
I guess.
It's pretty fucked. I wouldn't do it, but hey, that's a thing.
But the crazy thing about that is, though, is like that was a pretty long time ago. That was like, I believe, at least pre-Facebook internet. So like maybe even pre-MySpace.
Pre-2004.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like Facebook internet is, I kind of define it as like 2004 onward.
Yeah, I mean, my point being, though, is like there's probably a lot of like shit like that going on now that's just happening top level on places like Facebook.
There's more bones to be dug up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We're
so
not digging deep enough. Is that what you're
the dark
saying?
web, like, there's not. I'm just saying that there's like the dark web. There's less and less of a reason for the dark web to be the dark web anymore, because it's kind of
because it's just on Facebook.
It's all web.
Yeah, it's just the web now.
You can just find bones on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, with like illegal drugs and firearms withheld, but like,
You know, I was gonna say the dark web. Like, I don't think we would allow child pornography on the real internet.
yeah, I mean, there's a few exceptions.
Like, there's cuties on Netflix. So
Cuties.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Who knows
that
anymore?
one. When you have like an actual person that uses that terrible fucking "I'm a minor attracted person, you're a pedophile," review it and be like, "Oh my god, this is peak cinema. We're getting normalized, guys. This is our first step." Like when you have people like that saying that about your movie, you gotta question it a little bit.
Yeah, it's like that one YouTuber that was like, the point of the movie is to sexualize people, and I was attracted to them, and it's like, okay, buddy.
Yeah, back up, run back the tape. Just nope.
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
So-
Daily,
So
why
that's
not on that note?
Boneghazi. So
Mhm,
that was
Boneghazi.
Boneghazi. It was really I was on Tumblr at this time. I was in the midst of I was peak Tumblr at this moment.
I
It
think
was
that
mostly
too around this time, or maybe a little bit before this,
I
right
w-
around here.
Yeah, it was back in the days of you just mostly reblog GIFs of your favorite show and
Or your favorite
funny
porn.
text posts where sure. I won't admit to anything.
Uh huh.
Mm,
Yeah,
But-
Daily doesn't even know what porn is.
I don't, yeah, what are you talking about?
Daily is wholesome, guys.
All I know is about bone theft.
Mhm.
Mm,
Bone theft auto.
Bone
That's the only
theft
kind
auto.
of that's the only kind of boning she knows about.
There we go. There we go.
Spooky,
But
scary
it was just absurd. It was fun, but then there were legal ramifications. But yeah, it was peak Tumblr. And I think throughout this podcast, I'll probably eventually have another tale from Tumblr for you all, but this is definitely one of the standout ones of just how people behave on the internet and think and don't have that second thought of is this okay? Is this okay to post?
It's usually never if you have to ask yourself that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
my
why I
parents
don't
still
post selfies.
That's
It's
why
never
my
okay.
parents still don't.
It's never
I don't
okay.
think my parents even knew about Tumblr, and that's why I think that's why a lot of people used it.
Well, a lot of
Is it-
teens probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Teen
Yeah.
blur.
Yeah, my parents never got on my Tumblr. I don't think they knew it existed.
I still have a Tumblr and no one will know.
It's
It's out there.
tumblr.com/enderdarling.
Oh no. This was about me the entire time.
Yeah, I mean we know that you
Plot
grew up in
twist.
Nolans.
I'm actually 30. Like, yeah, I've fooled you all. My new identity. Thanks for listening to Boneghazi.
Our new
podcast where we'll talk about bones each and every time. Next week we'll have a guest archaeologist who actually gets to dig up bones ethically.
And we're going to talk about the femur.
Yeah, all of our favorite bone, right? I'm usually a big ulna fan, but the femur, there's just something about it.
No, I get that.
we clearly don't know how to end this podcast, so thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening.
We have been everything in potteration.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Whatever.
I've only seen like half the movies, but I can't think of a time someone Wingardium Leviosa a living, breathing person.
Wait, didn't they, Daily?
I don't. Okay, so I read all the books and all the paratext on online as I could.
The Silmapodderian.
Yeah, the
I understood that reference.
But I don't think anyone ever Wingardium Leviosa someone that I know of. But I also read a lot of fan fiction, so I might be thinking of that instead. Because they definitely Wingardium Leviosa people in fan fiction.
And then Ginny Wingardium Leviosa his dick.
It might have happened. Not gonna lie.
And all I really have to say about that is Harry Potter is dead. Draco,
my boy.
My boy.
Well done. Well done, Draco.
He's got the wand in one hand, and he's got like three fingers out. He's like pinkies out on the fucking wand, like he's drinking something fancy.
He is. He's drinking Draco's youth.